Hey everybody, my name is Peter. This is PJK MMA, my new MMA YouTube channel, where I'm going to be breaking down fights, making predictions, showing techniques, and stuff like that. Today I'm going to be breaking down the main event of UFC 318, Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3 for the BMF Championship. I'll start this off by analyzing each fighter, showing their strengths and their weaknesses. And I'll start with the BMF champion, Max Holloway. Max Holloway's style has evolved a lot since his time even as the featherweight champion. I feel like he's grown a lot as a fighter and made a lot of improvements. Now he seems to probe at his opponent. He'll throw long shots. He uses a long guard, probes with his jab. He'll use long kicks, and he'll use all of this to get reactions, and when he finds the reactions, he darts in with punches. Instead of just purely drowning his opponents with volume, he now picks his shots and finds the sharpest strikes to use at each moment. When Max does find these moments and he decides to go, he's very fast. He closes the distance quick, and his hand speed is incredible. He'll light up his opponent and then get back out of range before they can counter. Also, when he goes in, he's very tight inside of the pocket. He'll stand and he'll trade and throw multiple punches with his opponent, and most of the time when he goes into those trades, he comes out on top. Even against Poirier, who's on a crazy run right now, knocking out all these people. Even though Max lost that fight, he had moments where he went into the pocket and outlanded Ilya. When he's in the pocket, he'll use head movement and find little openings to land massive shots. On the outside, Max is very strong defense. He showed it a lot in the Justin Gaethje fight. He used so much movement, and Gaethje could not get to him. And that movement and that footwork is such a massive part of Max's defense. He doesn't allow his opponent to get to him, so he doesn't have to rely on his guard. He moves and gets out of the way of the shots before they can even get to his arms. Despite all of these strengths, there are some defensive holes in Max's game. A big one comes back to his movement-based defense. When he exits out of the pocket, or when he's exiting out of range when his opponent is coming at him, he often leaves his hands down. This works for him because people come at him in their straight stance and then they can't get him. But if you have someone that will switch through their stance, they can catch him big. This is what Poirier did to rock Max in the third round of their fight. He threw his lead hand out, and then when he went to throw his cross, he stepped through with his rear foot to close the distance. Another hole in Max's defense is his entries into combos. Typically, he's very fast. He comes in, throws his punches, and he's out. But sometimes he gets stuck up in the pocket, and he gets countered with big shots. Now I'll talk about Dustin. One of the strongest parts of Dustin's game, his striking game, is his countering. He'll force misses in close in the pocket, and he'll counter hard. He'll counter with that massive right hook that's put so many people down, or he'll throw that sniper left hand. And that left hand is another big part of his offense. He finds it from so many different ranges and so many different areas. He's incredibly accurate, fast, and powerful with it. It's one of his most dangerous weapons. And when Dustin gets his opponents hurt with one of those weapons, with one of those counters, he pours on an onslaught. He throws crazy combos and he doesn't let off the gas, which is so dangerous for someone with his power. At distance, Dustin will use a lot of strong kicks. Most of them he'll throw to the legs. He'll use the outside calf kick when his opponent's southpaw, and if they're orthodox, he'll switch and throw the calf kick off of his lead leg. When people throw punches at Dustin, he typically has a very strong guard. He uses a good Philly shell. He rolls with punches really well. He rolls them off of his shoulders, and he uses that to go into his counters. He has good head movement and just overall a strong, tight defense that he uses to set up his counter shots. Another thing that Dustin's capable of is using takedown attempts to break up his opponent's rhythm. This is something that he did a lot in the second fight with Max. He threw in a lot of takedown attempts. Even if he wasn't getting them, they broke up Max's rhythm. And it's also something that he did against Dan Hooker. His grappling isn't something that he uses often, but it is a pretty strong part of his game that he can rely on. A weakness of Dustin's is that he sometimes overswings with his punches. He'll try to load up too much, and it leaves him overextended and open for counters. And another weakness that I've seen breaking down the tape is that his guard can really break down under pressure. When people come at him with a few shots, he usually blocks them really well, gets out of range, and he can fire back or he can counter in the pocket. But when the combos start to get extended, he faces a little bit more trouble. This is seen in the second fight with Max. Max had a few moments where he looked like he was drowning Poirier. It was seen in the Dan Hooker fight, even in the Michael Chandler fight. Now I'm going to talk about how these guys match up with each other. Stylistically, this is a very fun fight. They're both primarily boxers, so they're going to come together hard, and they're probably going to come together often. I know that we've seen this matchup take place twice, but I think that this time is going to be fairly different. I think that Max is a much different fighter from the second time that they fought, and obviously they're both very different from the first time that they fought. Now that Max has bulked himself up and he's looking more like a true lightweight, he's way faster at lightweight, and he seems to have way more power and pop in his punches. His style and technique has also just developed a lot since that second fight. In the boxing, I believe that Max is going to have the speed advantage, and a pretty sizable one at that, but Dustin's definitely going to have a power advantage, and again, a pretty large one. I think that when these two inevitably come together, Max is going to be sharper in the pocket. It's going to be really close. I believe that both men will have their moments in the pocket, but I think that overall Max will get the upper hand in these exchanges up close. In the pocket, Max just seems a little bit tighter, a little bit faster. However, when they do first clash, when they do first come together, when Max darts in with a fast combo, I think that there are going to be big opportunities for Dustin to counter, but I'm just not sure if he's going to be able to find them with the speed of Max. Although, if he is able to find a big right hand or a big left hand right as Max is coming in, Max could be in a lot of trouble because we don't know how his chin is after the Poirier knockout. Since Dustin's counter game is so strong, it's definitely very dangerous for Max to leap into combos. I think that as this fight gets into the later rounds, Max will be able to overwhelm Dustin. If he can combine his newer style of picking his shots with his older style of constant pressure, I can see him melting through Dustin's defense, getting him against the cage and unloading massive combos. One thing that Dustin can really take advantage of in this matchup is switching through with his combos. If he catches Max pulling back with his hands down and he switches through, like if he starts in southpaw, throws a shot, steps through into orthodox, and then throws another shot, I could definitely see him catching Max and hurting him bad. He had a sequence similar to that in their first fight. So with all that being said, my final prediction is a Max Holloway TKO in rounds 3 or 4. I do really believe that Dustin will have moments. I think he'll find some counters, but I think Max will be able to hold up to the damage. I think Max will be in fairly comfortable control of the fight using his speed. He's going to pick his shots, break Dustin down, and in the later rounds, I think he's going to really overwhelm him. I see this being a finish where Max can hurt him when they come together and clash in the pocket, and then force him to the cage, unload a big combo, and get maybe a standing TKO or a TKO where Dustin drops and he follows him with ground strikes. If you got to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my analysis and my breakdown, please consider liking the video or subscribing. You can expect more breakdowns like this in the future, and also videos of me showing techniques, breaking down fights afterwards to show how fighters did certain things, or just videos showing my training. Thank you all again. Bye.